Wow. It's really full in here. Good evening. My name is Jenelle Riley, and I'm so thrilled to welcome you to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation conversation with everyone's favorite actor, William H. Macy. I'm not kidding. From my 12-year-old nephew to my 73-year-old father, everyone is actually going to watch this one in my family tonight. This is someone whose presence in any project guarantees it's going to be worth your time. He's conquered the stage, screens large and small, over the course of his 4 decades in the business. Along the way, he has become an Oscar nominee, a 4-time Golden Globe nominee, a 12-time Emmy nominee, and just last Sunday, he won his 3rd SAG Award. Please welcome William H. Macy.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I am so sorry to be tardy. Don't you hate it when actors do that?
He had the wrong time. And you're a stage actor. You should know better.
I know.
Where was your stage manager?
Okay, in my calendar it says 7:30. Heads will roll.
Can I tell them, though, you do earn cool points for driving up on a motorcycle? Yeah. I'm not going to tell everyone where it is, but... So this is an audience of SAG actors, and so I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card?
It was a pilot called Spider, and I had started my career in Chicago, Illinois, and they cast me. I had a speaking role, and I joined the union, and I was kicking up my heels because it meant I could join equity, which is mostly what I was doing, theater, and boy, it's a big step when you finally get into one of these here unions, isn't it? You're in the tribe then.
And back then you didn't even get the screeners, so it's gotten better and better. So I actually want to go start at the beginning. When did you first become interested in being an actor? Because you weren't from like a family of artists, or you weren't doing school plays or anything like that?
Yes, school plays. My brother, who I thought is, and still think is one of the cooler guys, went off to college, came home playing a guitar, and he joined a folk singing group, and I got hooked up with the guitar. I really wanted to play the guitar. And he taught me a song that was wildly inappropriate for a 14-year-old to sing in a talent show at his high school.
No.
I remember the refrain, "Your papa ain't your papa, but your papa don't know." And I sang that in the talent show. I could see the teachers looking at each other. Who vetted this? And I went from this scared guy, shy fellow with few friends, to BMOC. I mean, they just loved that song, and I loved their applause and their laughter, and I was off to the races. And then I started doing plays and never looked back.
But it wasn't until you went to Goddard College, I think I heard that you went to study, was it veterinary medicine?
I had that thought along the way.
But decided to fall back on acting?
Yes. It turns out to be a veterinarian, that's a doctor, as it turns out. You have to know math and things like that. So that wasn't going to happen. All I knew about was dogs. And I was acting in colleges through high school. I went to a little school in West Virginia called Bethany College, and I did some plays there, and I really liked it. And then I dropped out of school, and when my parents had had enough of that, I was looking for another school. I ended up going I did the rounds, you know, as if I could get into any of these schools, but I was just pleasing my parents, and I went up to Putney, Vermont, because there was a school called Wyndham, and everyone said the theater department was wicked cool. And then this guy said, "Man, if you like Wyndham, go to Goddard." I said, "Where's Goddard?" And he said, "Just up the road another 65 miles. And it was one of those Vermont days. I had a Carmen Ghia at the time. It was one of those spring Vermont days, so I went up there, and it was a hippie school. They were all hippies, all these beautiful young women running around, and everybody had beards, and it was, and I was smitten. And so I went to Goddard because there were no rules, no requirements. You smoked dope and chased women. That's as far as you had to pay tuition. That was a rule. You had to pay. And I've always been a serendipitous kind of person, and David Mamet had just graduated, and he came back as a teaching fellow, and he started an acting class. And in this hippie college, he was Stanislavski reborn. I mean, he was militant in the roaring 70s, the late 60s, 70s. He said you had to be on time.
The irony.
And if you weren't on time, he locked the door. And on time soon came to mean 5 minutes before the hour. And you had to know the lines, and he was a taskmaster. And he changed my whole life. One day he came in with a bunch of plays. One of them was an early version of Sexual Perversity in Chicago.
Wow.
And this brilliant teacher, we suddenly read this stuff, and I thought, I'm in the presence of grace here. Mm-hmm. This is huge. And well, he changed my life. He taught me everything I know.
I think I remember years ago you gave an interview where you said something that I frequently repeat to my friends who are actors, that he was the first person who taught you that acting could be a noble profession.
Yes, he said the theater's a place where we've traditionally gone to hear what's true. Mm. And he said he was a proponent of wipe your feet at the door. He said, no one gives a shit how you're feeling, it's all about the audience. And he said, treat it like a church, or get out, I don't want to work with you. And he said, finally, create the theater of your dreams. He said, you can sit around waiting for the phone to ring, or you can go out and build the theater of your dreams.
And you guys kind of did together, didn't you? I mean, first with the St. Nicholas Theater Company?
Right.
That was in Chicago, correct?
Yes. Dave grew up in Chicago, and Stephen Schachter, my longtime writing companion and cohort, we tried to start a theater out here.
In LA?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like opening a Sunday school in Beirut.
Well, especially now.
It's tough.
Yeah.
There's great theater in this town, but it was not the place to begin. And Dave said, come to Chicago. I just did the aforementioned Sexual Perversity in Chicago. Stuart Gordon had taken the play, which was a bunch of blackout sketches, and shaped it into the play that we know today. And it had been a big hit. Dave had a lot of cachet. He said, come to Chicago, we'll start it here. And
wow.
we did.
Was that when, because I know he started as your teacher, is that sort of when he became your peer, or did that really happen at Goddard? Maybe you still don't think of him as your peer.
I do, but no, he was still, I mean, he's the only rootin' tootin' genius I know. He knows so much all through his career. He's said these things and he's written these things, and my first reaction was always, Dave, you can't say that. Or Dave, that's not true. And inevitably, you could say that and you have to say that. And the things that he saw coming were years ahead. Mm. He's been prescient so many times. Wag the Dog, did you see that? He's about a couple of years before us.
Yeah, it's kind of eerie, that movie, especially when it came out.
Yeah.
So how long did you stay in Chicago, and what were some of the shows you did there? I know there were some big ones. I think Water Engine was one of them.
A lot of Dave's first shows. Perhaps 10 years.
Wow.
A little less. Then moved to New York.
And I mean, were you making a living as an actor in theater? You can do that somewhere?
Yeah. The first thing we did when we started the theater was start classes. Mm. I was 23 years old. I was teaching people twice my age. I didn't know what I was doing. But it paid for the theater. Mm-hmm. it allowed us, because it generated a lot of money. So I taught classes, I got paid for that. I started doing commercials. Bern Piven, rest in peace, a wonderful actor from Chicago, sort of got me started in voiceovers, which were very good for me. And I did plays, and every once in a while, a movie would come through. So, yeah, we owned that town.
Yeah.
I had the keys to the theater. It was great.
But you still decided to go to New York.
Yeah, curious,
Yeah.
eh?
What made you make that decision?
There was a lot of, they would send, a Hollywood film would come into Chicago, and all the roles, except for the minor roles, were cast, and they wouldn't even consider someone from Chicago, and we were very proud to be Chicagoans.
Yeah.
And we said, fuck Hollywood and fuck New York. We don't need to go there. We got everything we need here. This is where it's happening. And after about 10 years of that, I said, fuck Chicago, I'm going to New York. I love doing theater, and Broadway is Broadway. It's Broadway.
What was the first Broadway play you did?
A production of Our Town.
You're kidding.
Greg Mosher directed it. Spalding Gray played the stage manager. That was that great Neil Simon review, and he said his accent was terrible. He's from Maine. Spalding was from Maine. And Neil Simon completely Simonized him about the way he sounded.
And when was the last time you were on stage?
I took over on Speed the Plow, and that was about
That's right.
5 years ago.
Before that, was it American Buffalo, or had there been?
I never did it on Broadway. We did it off Broadway.
We did it, yeah, at the Atlantic.
Did it at the Donmar Warehouse.
Oh wait, you didn't do it at the Atlantic?
And the Atlantic.
Oh, okay,
yes.
sorry. I thought maybe, because I saw it there, and I thought that maybe I was having a...
That was a good production.
It was a
wasn't it?
fantastic production.
I got to play Bobby when it first came out. I was in my 20s, and then I got to play Teach.
Yeah. And your Bobby was Mark Webber, I
Yes.
believe, yeah, who was a fantastic
he's
actor.
great.
And Philip Baker Hall
Yep.
was your, I don't know, not nemesis, was your co-star.
Bobby was about 9 years old, and we flew to London together, and I saw him, and he was lost, the poor baby. I was scared to death, but at least I'd been to London before, and I said, I don't think he could drink. So first we got a drink, and I said, let's walk over to the theater, see where it is. And we went over, and it was right out of Stanislavski, his memoirs. We rounded a corner, and there's the Donmar Warehouse, and a line to get tickets, and our pictures were out. And I turned to him and I said, dude, file this one away. These are the good old days.
Yeah.
This is good.
I mean, I know you're obviously very busy, but do you want to get back on stage?
I do.
Yeah. I'm going to stare at you until you elaborate on that. What do you love about that medium?
I think I'm better at it than
Really?
film, one. I love the fact that it's all us, you know, there's nothing technical. After the curtain goes up, it's just us and the audience. I love the audience. I love improv. And it's hard to improv, I find, in film. I mean, you only get a couple of takes. And when I say improv, I'm saying I'm a big proponent in learning the lines and saying the lines exactly as they're written. But within that improv that goes with the lines, I find it hard to do in film. But on stage, you know, you're coming back night after night after night, and it's anybody's game. I love that.
In all of your stage experience, I'm sure there were times you either like forgot your lines or something horrible happened. What was like sort of the biggest disaster or gift, as they might say?
Oh Lord, they're mostly funny. Now, I was.
Now, yeah.
I was doing this Michael Ondaatje play called The Collected Works of Billy the Kid, and I played Billy the Kid, and I would introduce the cast. Mike Nussbaum directed this thing, and the whole cast was on stage the whole time. And those suckers, I talked and talked. They would fall sound asleep, man. I'd have to go over and kick them because they would be snoring. You could hear it everywhere. At any rate, I guess it was the fourth preview. I skipped 3/4 of the way through the play, and I walked up to this actor and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Follard." And he looked at me with that look. And I said, "Tom Follard, tell us your story, Tom." And he was looking at me like this. And I said, "No?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, we'll hear your story later." And I got back on the thing. But, that was a drift there. I did a Howard Corder play. It was a one-act at Atlantic. And I had a brain fart, and I cut a quarter of the play or more. And I had no idea I'd done it until we got to the end. And and Howard Corder was beside himself. He said, it made no sense. Good night, everybody. He was genuinely upset. And my friend Stephen Schachter was there, and he looked at me. He said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I cut a third of the play." And Stephen, I love him, said, "I think it was a good cut."
And he's a great writer, so I take that as high praise.
Oh, Lord. Talk about going up. At Goddard, we decided to do Godot.
Is that a groan from people?
Oh, my God. And everybody was we were stoned all the time. And I was so frightened. I called my mom and dad, and I said, "We're opening this play tonight. I know the lines better than anyone, and I don't know the lines." And they sent me a telegram saying, "You're a good man, Charlie Brown." I'm still wondering about that, why they said that. At any rate, we get on stage, and I don't know, it just, the muse descended, and we were clicking along, and the audience was loving it. And then T.C. Stoner, right? That was his name, T.C. Stoner. Hand to God.
Could be worse, it could be THC.
He gives me those pinwheel eyes, and I look off stage, and there's Pazzo and Lucky going. And I realize, oh, Lord, we're in the second act. We're about to finish this play. And we had just started it. We'd cut Pazzo and Lucky completely. We got back on.
That actually sounds like my kind of Godot. And so you were still doing theater, and is that when you founded the Atlantic Theater Company as well?
It was Dave. He called me up and said NYU wanted him to teach some classes. And of course he wanted 12 students, and of course there were hundreds who wanted to do it. And so we went up to Vermont to do these, a summer session. And we repeated that about 3 or 4 summers. And then at a point, Dave said, I got nothing else to tell you folks, but I copyrighted the Atlantic Theater Company. You can have it. Go start a theater company. And they did.
Wow.
Before that, it was a beautiful day. He said, who feels summery? And 6 people raised their hands. He said, good, summarize everything we've done to date. And I'll need it in 2 weeks. And that became the practical handbook
You're
for the...
kidding.
No, that was it.
Wow. So what year was the Atlantic Theater Company actually founded?
Not a clue. The 80s.
But still active today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the better off-Broadway theaters in New York, if you ask me.
It's in a church, isn't it?
Yeah,
beautiful
okay. Theater.
Sorry, my memories are coming back from American Buffalo. But you did want to have a film and television career. How were you at auditioning during this time?
That's a great question. Not too good. I got all my work from people having seen me. I clinched in auditions. But I beat it. You want to hear how?
No, I don't think we have time.
One, I didn't work for a long time. For 10 months. It was just between, and I just kept chewing on these stupid things where I'd completely imploded on an audition, something I could have had. And I got so angry with myself, and I sort of decided, I can't do that anymore. You got to fix this. And then I moved out here. When I moved out here, this is after 10 years in New York, and I had to audition again because I was a new kid on the block, and I had a lot of theater credits and I knew a lot of people, but there I was auditioning, and I took it from this point of view. This is, I did two things. One, I talked the talk with the directors. I didn't try to be charming or anything, but I talked the talk. I said, I think this is a movie about. And I said, I think this character's trying to. And I think in this scene, he's trying to do the following thing. I talked the objective. I sort of planted my flag. This is what I'm going to do. And sometimes they'd go, I don't, it's not like that. But that was a good thing, because I would say it's more like this. And so I just talked about it. And the second thing I did was I sort of said to myself that I would carry this attitude. If you cast me, this is what I'm going to do. Because I started thinking about the audition as my first rehearsal. That's the first time I get to do this. If I get the job, it'll go all the way and it'll be on camera. But I'm at work now. And if you don't like what I'm doing, don't cast me. Because this is what I'm going to do. I planted my flag. And it made me bolder. Okay, and I'll give you one more. There's a trick. Here's a great trick. Whenever you do, they'll give you 4 scenes, right? And in each scene, there's a moment. And they want to see that character do those moments, but there's a moment. Pause before you say it. Just pause. This is what happens. You get to that moment, the punchline. You're acting up a storm, and then stop. And the people at the desk go like this. And the people you're reading with goes. Then you throw the punchline.
Wow.
And everybody in the room saw it. It would be good to have something behind it a little bit, but it's a good trick.
Do you mind?
Every scene's got one of those moments. Yeah. Just do that.
Do you mind if I ask, do you even remember the last time you auditioned?
Mercifully, it's been a while. There was I can't remember the director. He did Aliens. It was 10 or 4, 9, I don't know. A lot of alien movies got made. He was French. He had 2 translators in the.
Jean-Pierre.
That's right.
Might
have been one of my last ones. I walk in, and I sat in a chair like this, and he goes, blah, 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 blue, and they go, okay, you're tied up, the aliens got you, and you're almost dead. And so, have you ever seen this thing? There's a thing on the internet that's like this. Anyway, I go, okay, you're almost dead, and you're trussed up, and I'm like this. And they said, but you're happy. And I go, like this, because you've sort of fallen in love with the alien, but you're going to die. And so I was sitting in the chair, and I could tell he wanted more. You know, it was a very complicated moment. And finally, I just went, tell him it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I got up and I left. Might have been one of the last.
I hope that tape is somewhere making the rounds. I would love to see it.
Okay, I've been a director, though. If there was another way other than auditioning, we would have come up with it. I don't know of another way. It's a necessary evil.
By the way, I've seen Alien 4, which is the one he directed. I don't remember that scene.
Yeah. He might have rewritten it after seeing me.
After that, he was like, if he couldn't make it work, never mind. Oh, also, I remember early in your career when you were doing, you had roles on like Kate and Ally and Somewhere in Time. You were going by W.H. Macy. Was that because of the actor on Maude, or?
Correct.
And when did you claim the William H?
This is probably not the place to say this, but I never actually did it officially. I just started using it.
So it's available?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't own it. I use WH because of Bill Macy, you know him, well, wonderful actor. I used WH, but then when I would go to auditions, they'd get to my name and they would skip me inevitably, and I realized they didn't want to say WH. They didn't want to say what. They didn't know what to say. It was WH. Not many people were using their initials.
Yeah.
It was so prevalent that I would learn who came after me because inevitably they would just skip my name.
Wow. So you never like made the official change?
No.
But, well, okay.
Perhaps you have a form
Yeah, I was
could
just
fill
going to
out.
say, maybe somebody here can get on that. A lot of your early movies were also with David Mamet, who, you know, I mean, House of Games is one of my favorite movies, and then Things Change and Homicide, for which you earned your first Independent Spirit Award nomination. What was it like to transition his work on, I mean, it wasn't based on plays, but he was transitioning into film, and it looked effortless. Was it effortless, or was there...
For me?
Well, for you and him. I mean, he seems like a natural-born film director.
He's really smart, and one of the things I love about Dave's directing is his set. He's just such a cool guy. I've seen him meet 25 extras or day players at 6 a.m. and say goodnight to them by name 12 hours later. He spends almost as much time on the gag reel as he does on the film. He loves to fuck with people. For me, it wasn't easy. I found difficulty being at ease, being in the moment. I had difficulty giving it up. You know, you got to give it up. And who can blame me? It's really tough, you know, when the camera's right in your face there, that impulse to do it just a little bit better, you know, and that'll kill you. That'll just kill you.
Well, he did adapt Oleana for film, which I don't know if that was his first straight adaptation of one of his plays, maybe not. And you were the lead in that, and it's two people kind of in one room for the entire play. I mean, did the weight of that feel intimidating, or did you just figure you were making a movie no one would see? That's freeing, you know, it is. Yeah.
I had done the play, so I knew it well. Boy, that was an experience. Do you know that play, Oleana?
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about it the other day because it's so timely, or actually timeless might be the right word, that it's relevant even today. And it was written 25 years ago?
Yes. And it was written before the Clarence Thomas affair.
Yeah, that's right.
He's prescient.
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
Yeah, it's eerie. They did it like maybe 10 years ago here in Los Angeles with Bill Pullman and Julia Stiles, and people thought that it was a new play.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember that. I was out of town. I would have loved to have seen that. Boy, did I love doing that play.
Did you? Because it's tough material.
It is tough. There was a line. It's the beginning. He goes, what about the land? The land. What about the land? No, I understand what but the work. No, I understand what but the work. That's hard to memorize. Boy, with Dave Mamet, though, once you memorize it, it's like driving a Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's just great. You want to blow your brains out until you get it down. But
are there any hints or helpful clues to memorizing dialogue, specifically Mamet? Or is it just repeat, repeat?
Oh, my Lord. We're all actors here? Okay.
He's going to let the secret out, guys.
My wife came up with this. It's as simple as this. Go a paragraph at a time. Take the sentence and say it a dozen times, 10 or 12 times. And your eye has to be on the word as you say it, and you have to say it out loud. And of course, don't act it, just repeat it. Do the sentence 10 times, 12 times. Go to the next sentence, do it 10, 12 times. It's nuts. You don't have to act, you don't have to memorize. Just repeat the sentence, but your eye has to be on the word as you say it. Do it 10 times, 12 times, something like that. Do the whole paragraph. Then look up and see if you can say it. And that's it. Go to the next paragraph, go to the next, go to the next. Say it 12 times. The next day, it takes 2 days to learn lines. Anybody who says you can do it one is either 9 years old, but if you're an adult like us, it's 2 days. The next day, you'll have forgotten half of it. Do the same thing. If there's something that bothers you, go back to that phrase. Do it a dozen times with your eye on the word as you say it. Do that, and you'll have it in 2 days, and you'll be letter fucking perfect.
Really?
Letter perfect. And you never had to memorize the lines. I think the trick is you get your mouth and your mind working together, so you create some sort of muscle memory. And if you really learn the lines, I mean, that's for TV, you know, you spend 2 days on it, and that's about all we do. But if it's a big feature or something like that, and you learn them cold, and you use that process, you can do anything, and the line will be there. You never have to think about the lines. You've created this habit of the line, and it'll come out. It's genius. It changed my life, too. I've been doing it on Shameless, and I love acting so much more when I know the lines.
And then, do you always have them there? Like, can you recall?
No.
Paragraph? Okay. Well, you don't need to.
Next day, nothing.
Really, it's gone by
It's
then.
gone.
That's amazing. We just have a question, and I apologize in advance if I butcher anyone's name, but I believe it's Andres Londano.
Yep.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good. Wants to know, when did you realize you were on a successful track on your career? Was there a key moment?
That's a great question. Little touchstones. First time I got recognized. First time I did a performance and I thought, well, to be blunt, I thought that was world class, what I just did. That was world class. Somebody could do it different, but you couldn't do it better. And then, well, here's a great, these little moments. They sent me the script for Boogie Nights, and the script was rougher than the film. Boy, it was. I thought it was a porn film. I mean, there was actual shtipping in that one. Yeah. It didn't make it, but then they sent me Paul's first film, which is called Hard Eight, a wonderful film. And I saw that and I thought, oh, if this guy wants to direct the phone book, I'm in. So I met with him at the Formosa Cafe, and I had done how I was going to talk myself to get this role, you know? My audition thing, I had my talking points, and I would talk to myself about how to be cool. Oh, one other thing when you audition, you can be a little bit, not so anyone would notice, a little bit the character. If they see it, all is lost. You've lost all their respect. But if they don't know it, they'll just think. So anyway, Paul comes in, and I was about to launch into my pitch when Paul started talking, and he didn't shut up. I mean, he was just talking and talking and talking really fast, and he was nervous. And I went, Mother of God, he's pitching me. I've got the role.
Wow.
He's selling me. And I went, Is he the most amazing filmmaker?
So amazing.
God, he's a very cool guy, too.
Was that even before Fargo had come out?
That was after Fargo.
Oh, it
that's
was
why.
after Fargo. Oh, okay. Well, because it was just like a year later that Boogie Nights came out.
Yeah, but he had seen it.
Okay. Yeah, well, who hadn't? And obviously 1996 was a very big year for you. You created the iconic role of Jerry Lundegaard. I just love saying that name, in Fargo.
Oh, geez.
Do people still come up to you like to this day and do that? Yeah. Or
I'm
talk
cooperating here. There's such great lines from that movie.
Is that what you're most recognized for, or being on TV? I know people.
Yeah, I think Shameless and Frank Gallagher has eclipsed that now.
Eclipsed Jerry Lundegaard.
Yeah.
And from what I remember, this was a role you really campaigned for. I think you were joking, but you said you like threatened to kidnap the Coen brothers' dog. If they didn't give it. Shoot it! Oh, okay. much more Jerry to shoot it. Yeah.
Thank God he laughed.
I'm gonna guess that was Ethan.
It's not. I don't recommend this, but yes, I wanted the role. I read for the sheriff, and they said, "Do you want to go out and take a look at Jerry?" I said, "Yes, I do," because I'd read most of it, and I thought, "Oh my God." And they said, "That's real good. You want to come back tomorrow?" And I said, "Yes, I do." I was up all night, called every actor I know. They just did shifts of an hour. I learned the whole script. I was ready to do anything from the script. And I went in and they said, "That's real good." They're kind of laconic, those two. It's hard to tell.
That's a nice word for it. Yeah.
Hard to tell they're breathing sometimes. I said, "That's real good." And I waited, and then I found out they were seeing people in New York. So I got my jolly Lutheran ass on an airplane and flew to New York and crashed that audition.
Wow.
I mean, I really did. Wow. I knew the person running the audition, but I walked in and said, "No, they want to see me," and walked back in, and that's when I said, "I'm scared you're going to screw up your movie by casting someone else in this role." I said, "You give me this role, or I'll shoot your dog." Don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that. That usually doesn't work.
Did they give it to you on the spot, or was there still no?
No, I had a little cabin in Vermont, and I was up there all by myself. Next neighbor is 5 miles away. I mean, it's really remote. And the phone rang. I got the role. And I was all by myself. I was ricocheting off the walls. I was running outside, screaming and yelling. It was a good day.
Who was the first person you were able to tell if you were ensconced up in Vermont?
You know, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't have a girlfriend, and I didn't know who to call.
Yeah.
So I didn't call anyone.
People figured it out, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever been that passionate about a role before, about going after one? What was it about the script that spoke to you so strongly?
I just understood it. I grokked it immediately. I realized why the character was doing what he was doing, and I thought he was justified in what he was doing. I mean, I could see it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just knew exactly how to play it instantly. And it was written for a sort of an overweight, balding fellow. So I had to get that image out of their heads. And the dialect, I mean, I really get it. I had done a season at the Guthrie Theater, so I knew that dialect a little bit.
And I mean, is it safe to say, I mean, you were nominated for an Academy Award. That was, by the way, your competition that year was crazy.
Oh, it was a bad year to get nominated.
I know. I was thinking about this the other day. I remember Edward Norton and Cuba Gooding Jr., and I don't even remember who the other two were.
Sling Blade.
Oh my God. Yeah. You couldn't ask him to hold the movie another year. But I mean, that has to be like, you know, I mean, actors probably don't like to admit that, but that's kind of the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is it safe to say it changed your life and career?
Yep, it did. It takes a year or two before you start to feel it. Paul Thomas Anderson was when I thought, whoa, I'm at the grown-ups table now. Yeah. But yeah, I've always flattered myself I'm pretty good at reading scripts. I try to read them quickly. I mean, all at one sitting, and skip the stage directions. They're just horse shit anyway. Just skip them and go to the dialogue. And if you do, you can kind of see the movie in your mind's eye, almost in real time. Mm-hmm. And it's held me in good stead, and I'm pretty good at knowing if a movie's going to work or not. And boy, I just saw that one. I thought, whoa, this is fabulous. Ethan Coen is a great writer.
Mm-hmm. I actually find Jerry very sympathetic, which a lot of people don't agree with me. I mean, he makes me horribly uncomfortable, but I actually I'm weirdly rooting for him, and I find your final scene kind of funny, but horribly tragic.
Yes.
Trying to climb out the window in his underwear.
Yes.
Do you ever, this may be a silly question that but sort of as a non-actor, do you ever wonder where those characters are now? I wonder if Jerry's still in prison or probably got killed in prison, actually.
Jerry Lundegaard in prison is not a good...
Yeah.
Although I did that movie, it's called Edmund.
That's right, yeah. Kind of the spiritual sequel to Jerry.
He's a great character.
Yeah.
This whole, I don't know, I've got a knack with taking characters of low repute who do awful things and making them sort of compelling. And it's a good trick to have. You can have two homes. Well,
I was thinking about that the other day, actually, because I was watching The Cooler, and how sympathetic. I don't even know if he's an anti-hero. He's kind of a hero.
Right, he's the hero there.
Yeah, except you do kind of consider his job is to make people lose.
Right.
It's hard to root for someone like that, and yet we do.
Yeah.
I mean, are those characters that you're drawn to naturally, or?
Interesting with The Cooler, I had said no more losers, and I just, I said absolutely not. And Ed Pressman was producing it, and they wouldn't take no for an answer, and I'm so pleased. I thought, okay, one more loser.
Well, not to give anything away, but he's kind of a winner by the end, I would say. Yes.
Maria Bello.
Yes. You guys got in a lot of trouble with the MPAA for that movie.
We did?
Yes, it was originally rated X, or NC-17.
Oh, right.
Right.
The MPAA.
And I mean, I never would have seen that coming from watching that movie.
Oh, I got lucky on that one. There was this scene where Maria Bello and I had just done the one thing. And it was my idea, but the shot was that the camera was over our head and panning down from our heads, and so I pulled my pants down around my ankles, and Maria put her hand over young Will, and that was the only thing between young Will and the world there. And my shirt's pulled up like this because it was rather furtive sex.
Yeah.
It happened quickly. And it was a really cool shot, and I was pleased with it. At any rate, we went to Sundance, and there was a Q&A, and we had answered all the questions. And I keep going up on his name. Who directed it? The Cooler.
I can tell you the other movies he directed, but for some reason his name isn't coming to me either.
It's a senior moment. It'll get worse too.
Come on, everyone.
At any rate,
IMDb.
he said, anybody have anything to say? And I raised my hand and I said, I just want everybody to know that Maria Bello can palm a basketball.
Wayne Kramer. Thank
Wayne.
you.
I was proud of that one. That was good.
Right, I mean, right after Fargo, it's like you had this big career boost, but you used it very wisely. I mean, you were making movies that were both critically acclaimed and commercial successes, like Air Force One, Boogie Nights, Wag the Dog. How were you choosing your roles?
Oh, not a clue. There was a brief time there where I had more offers than I could do. the only rule I ever had was do the good stuff and don't do the bad stuff. I always thought it would be better to have a smaller role in a successful film than the lead role in a film that doesn't work. But mostly, I was just being blown along with things as they came up. I made some good choices. I did some weird choices. I acted badly a couple of times, but for a while there, I was in all the cool films.
Mm-hmm.
It goes like this in a career.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to be in a big Harrison Ford action movie? Saving the president, no less, and then
Yes.
sacrificing himself.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love doing that.
That's
I love
really
those big movies.
good
I'd like to
movie.
do another one.
Yeah.
I thought Shameless was going to end this year. We're going to go back and do another one and maybe two more, but I started thinking about, started thinking about what I want to do and auditioning. It seems to me that might be in the cards for me. And I don't know, to do a big fat feature again. It's been a long time since I did that. They're great fun.
Well, you were in the best movie of 2 years ago, Room, but like you said, it's a small but very significant part.
Yeah, it was a smallish movie too. I mean the $200 million things.
Yeah, another Jurassic Park.
Another Jurassic Park.
We can see what happened to your character.
Ah, that was
Jurassic
so-
Park 3. Was that as fun as it looks? Because
Yes.
yeah, running around Hawaii chasing dinosaurs.
Oh my God. Nowadays it's mostly CGI, but they had a lot of mechanical stuff there. It was.
Really?
I was acting with an excavator, essentially. They built this. The problem with a Stegosaurus, is who I think he was, is that they move so slowly. But you know, if a Stegosaurus whips his head around, his nose is going 140 miles an hour. So because they're really big, so they figured out how to whip these things around really fast. They built this thing, and there was a lot of safety meetings. You wouldn't want to be in the way of it when he whips his head around.
Yeah.
And then they speeded it up. But there were a lot of mechanical things. Those velociraptors, they had one that was from here up, and they had one in the bottom, and it took 6 people to work one of those. They had a, you know, when you can see your heartbeat right here, they had that. They had one guy doing the eyes, and the iris would retract, and they would blink. One guy had a helmet on, and he would look around like that, and 2 people with joysticks. I mean, they were amazing, these things. They couldn't go anywhere. They were stationary, but for the tight shots. And I took my daughter, who was perhaps 4 or 5, to the soundstage, and I said, "Do you want to see this?" And I was holding her like this, and she was not clear about this. I mean, she could see that it was on a stand, but it looked so real. But these guys were rehearsing, and I said, "Look, Sophia, there's," and somebody dropped something on the soundstage, and this velociraptor went, and then looked back at my daughter, and that's when she said, "Okay, get me out of here." But that's how good they were. I mean, they really, and they had this thing, the thing sniffed Taglioni, and they had a little thing in the nostril, so it'd go like that and blow her hair a little bit. It's really cool. It's more fun than CGI.
I'm shocked. I assumed it was all CGI and you were acting opposite tennis balls.
No.
That's really cool.
No, they built a lot of mechanical stuff for that.
Wow.
And that wall, at Universal, they built a wall. It was 5 stories high, out of these great blocks of styrofoam. And then the plumbers came in and put that, and then the electricians came in and they wired it. And then the sculptors came in, and with chainsaws, they cut the rock face. And then the painters came in and painted it. And then the gardeners came in and planted all this stuff. And they turned the water on. It looked better than Hawaii. And we shot on it for 6 days, and then they tore it down. And it took 4 months to build more. And at first I thought, that is a waste. And then I thought, no, that's about the most glorious way to spend money I've heard in a long time. That's a good thing.
Something else I've noticed in your career is that directors keep having you back. You've worked with Woody Allen at least twice. Obviously, David Mamet, Paul Thomas Anderson cast you again in in Magnolia, and you've done a few films with Gary Ross, Pleasantville and Seabiscuit. I mean, is there a secret to, you know, getting directors to ask you back?
You could be good.
That helps.
And I think it's the way it goes. I mean, it certainly is nice for a director to work with people he or she knows. So I think it's a natural thing that they invite you back. Haven't heard from any of those people recently.
I'm actually shocked you never made another movie with the Coen brothers.
Me too. And I've told them.
They're sometimes weird about that, though. Like, they went a long time before using John Goodman again.
Well, I flatter myself that maybe Jerry Lundegaard is so indelible that people wouldn't be able to see me doing something different.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
So at this point, like, even though your acting career is obviously going very well and you know, don't have to fall back on veterinary school, you started writing and producing a lot around this time with TV films like The Con, which is my personal favorite, A Slight Case of Murder, Door to Door, and The Wool Cap. Was that something that you always intended to move into?
It seemed a natural progression because of Dave Mamet. And my friend Stephen Schachter, back in New York, he got a little directing gig through AFI, and he really liked it. And I wanted to start directing, and he said, well, let's write a script. You can do the first one, I'll do the second one. So we wrote a script. We never got it off the ground. It was called Woodbury, Vermont. But it got us a gig on, don't tell me, on 30-something.
Really?
And, yeah, when they'd read our script, they go, it's like an episode of 30-something. I go, it is not, it's a feature. And Schachter, who's much smarter than me, third time he heard it, said, let's send it to 30-something. And they said, this is just like one of our scripts. And so we wrote a 30-something, and then we started writing TV together.
Wow.
And then Steven started directing them, and I would play a role. And then as my star rose, I started playing the lead. We did about a dozen movies of the week. It was a great gig.
And what I've noticed is that they're all very different. I mean, like, I could say like The Con and A Slight Case of Murder both have, you know, a film noirish but also comedic bent. But something like The Wool Cap, you know, where you're playing a mute man, you know, bears no resemblance to something like Door to Door. I mean, was part of the joy getting to create these roles for yourself?
Sure.
Although you wrote yourself as a mute, that's not something most actors would do.
It's a great role, though.
Yes.
As long as the camera's on you, you don't have to say nothing. As a matter of fact, it's very powerful not to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Some of them were pretty good. They all had moments that I was really proud of. And Door to Door is just was a charmed film from the very beginning. I was very proud of the writing on that. That was a tough one.
You mean the Emmy Award-winning writing? Well, you won 2 Emmys, because you also won for Best Actor.
I won 2, but you know, it's not the number. It's
I mean, I'm from Oregon, so I know the story of Bill Porter, who was a door-to-door salesman with cerebral palsy. He just died like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have played real people before, but I mean, was it intimidating to be playing someone who's still alive, who I assume you could consult with, not to mention, you know, portraying that disability?
That's a great point. I was shy about it, but he was a singular-looking guy. His ears stuck out like this, and his teeth, and the way he spoke, CP had affected his speech a little bit, and one hand was behind him. I mean, I just had to imitate him. But I said, Bill, I'm going to imitate you. Forgive me. It's lovely to do a makeup show. I don't know if you folks have found this. It allows you to act a little more fully, you know, when you've got a mask, when you're once removed. for some reason, I find it allows you to be simpler. That was tough, though. We shot for, we had 26 days to shoot it, and I waived my call 26 times.
Wow.
Yep. To get all that makeup on and off, that was rough. Mm-hmm. Shaved my head.
I mean, what an amazing movie, too, working with Helen Mirren, who played his mother. Did you know you were working on something special, or were you surprised by the response?
No. There'd been a 2020 piece on Bill Porter, which had the same tone that we did. Mm-hmm. No, I knew it was a great opportunity. Here was the writing, if any of you are writers. The problem was he was alive. Bill Porter was a fabulous guy, and we had Act 1 and 2, but he was still alive. He didn't have a third act, and we felt compelled to not make up a bunch of stuff about the guy. So I think it was my idea. I said, okay, let's tell stories about his clients, the people he sold to. So we came up, that we fictionalized completely, and we had 4 plots, and those were the stories we told. Mm-hmm. And through this, Bill sort of wound his way so that he had a bit of a punchline too. And then there was a woman named Shelley Brady who is his sort of compatriot and best friend, and she was in the movie. But the real Shelley, we said he was in love with her. And Bill didn't like that part.
He didn't? Did he like the movie overall?
He did.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be the one review that really matters.
Yeah. Also, Shelley's husband said, yeah, he was in love with her. What's he saying? Yeah, who wouldn't be?
And I should mention, you've also been directing. You made your film debut with Rudderless at the, I think, 2014 Sundance Film Festival.
Correct.
And I believe you have something, is it coming out this year, KRYSTAL?
KRYSTAL, I don't know when it's going to come out. I've done 3 films. Rudderless was the first. The second is a sex comedy called The Layover, and that's finished as of Monday.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's like a skin disease. It won't go away, this freaking thing. And then KRYSTAL is finished. And I don't know how they'll get released. I do know about The Layover. It's Alexandra Daddario and Kate Upton, and it's pretty funny. I mean, it's a sex comedy about 27-year-old women, and I know so much about 27-year-old women. It's pretty funny. It's going to be on HBO. They bought it, and it'll be an HBO film, and then Vertical Entertainment bought the American rights, so it'll get in a theater for a little bit, and then Universal has the foreign.
And with KRYSTAL, are you looking to do the festival circuit, or?
Probably going to end up doing the festival circuit. Sundance turned us down.
You're in good company. You know, they turned down Christopher Nolan's first movie.
They did?
Yes. The Following, which is also one of his best movies. So
I flatter myself that they had so many great films this year. That's why I didn't get in. But South by Southwest didn't like it either. It's a passion project. It took me 13 years to get it to the screen. I don't know if anyone likes it.
What? Can you tell us what it's about?
Oh, it's that time-honored story of a young kid who has a heart condition called PAT, paraxial atrial something. When he gets excited, his heart starts pounding. He has to go to the hospital and get a shot in the worst-case scenario because he can't convert. So into his life comes KRYSTAL, an ex-hooker, alcoholic, junkie, and he falls in love with her, and then he finds out she's got a son who's in a wheelchair because his father ran over him when he was loaded, and Willie the pimp is after her, and then when he has an attack, he sees Satan. So it's that old story.
This sounds like a perfect Sundance movie.
It's written by Will Aldous. I think it's just delicious.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you like it?
I like it. I really do. it's kind of shamelessly romantic. It turns out I am too.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a romance, you would say.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to see this. Bring it here.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll screen it for
yes,
you.
Yes, we will.
Jesse, are you here? Yeah, get that on the books.
Okay.
But I loved Rudderless, but I obviously haven't seen the other two movies. But I've been waiting for you to direct for a really long time, honestly. And you've, like I said, worked with the best. What have you sort of, I don't want to say stolen, what have you, learned from them or learned not to do from them?
I think that the actor in me made me realize that mostly what I want from a director is generalship. Make art on your own time. Get me home at 12 hours. That's what. I planned well, obsessively perhaps. I think you gotta figure out a set where people feel safe. At the same time, if you got somebody that's not cutting it, you got to fire them quickly and just move with dispatch. It's generalship. It's bringing it in on time. Truthfully, I don't know if his directing is for me. I think you got to, especially in an indie, you got to be able to roll with the punches, and I'm a little too stiff. I don't roll with the punches too well.
Do you enjoy it?
I've had sublime moments in these three films, but I've also seen pictures of myself from them, and I look like the dog died, man. I'm always looking down, and it took a toll on me. I just take it all too seriously. Yeah. But I might try it again, especially if one of these succeeds.
I would say selling to HBO is a pretty big success.
That's good.
Only take really good movies. Yeah. We have a question from Pamela Finney. Over there, hi. Is there a particular role that you would like to go back to and perform in a totally different way?
Yeah. But you can't go there. You can't do that. One of the things I learned a long time ago is when you get in the car and you start acting the scene again and you're really acting the shit out of it now, don't do that. It'll drive you nuts. You can't go back. I've got those moments that I cringe. Do you have those stupid things you've done? You go,
I was thinking more, wondering if there was a role you'd like to revisit, sort of the way you did American Buffalo, but just with a different character. I mean, you could do Oleana now.
Yeah. Well, I certainly would like to play Donnie. It'd be the trifecta. Then I would have played all.
That's a
three
great
roles.
idea.
Yeah, I'm getting old enough to do it. Big enough, ornery enough.
Yeah. Who would be your co-stars then at this point?
I don't know. I'll tell you, I know one thing about American Buffalo. That's Donnie's show. That's Donnie's stage. That's if you ever do it, Donnie owns the stage, not Teach. Teach just talks. Teach is dangerous, but that's Donnie's store.
Teach does talk a lot.
Yeah, he does. He never shuts up. What a great role.
Yeah.
Fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie, fucking Ruthie.
What does he say when he puts on the hat? I look like...
It used to be I look like a faggot. Then it was I look like a sissy.
That's what it was, yeah, when I saw it.
One of my favorite lines is, guys like that, I like to fuck their wives.
Yes.
Guys like that, I like to fuck their wives. He's such a great writer.
Yeah.
He's such a great writer. He cuts the words out. He found the music in Chicagoese.
When was the last time you guys worked together? It might have been The Unit, actually, on TV, but...
Yep, probably one of them.
Last movie would Spartan, probably, or State and Maine?
Spartan came after State and
Okay.
Maine. State and Maine's a great film.
Oh,
you guys see that?
God.
It's about the biz.
Yeah. Did people within the business tell you that you hit the nail on the head a little too much with State and Maine?
No, but I heard Dave, maybe it was Spartan. They're in some Dubai. There's in some Arabic country, and there's a billboard in the back, He says he did it, I don't know, but in Cyrillic or something it says, State and Maine, the most criminally mismanaged release in the history of film.
Was it really?
That's what he said.
Yeah. Because
an
I saw it in the
Arabic or-
theater, so obviously they did, you know, some
It's-
marketing.
Oh yeah, yeah, people love that film.
We have a question from Kelly. It doesn't have a last name, so there might be a few Kellys here. Thank you for your body of work. Is there a role you would say mirrors your life the most?
Mirrors my life.
Please don't say Frank.
He's my best friend.
Frank would be fun to party with, but not fun to be.
No, nothing comes to mind. No.
Is there a character you would say is the closest to you, maybe?
Maybe in terms of my sense of humor, and you said it. What's the one where I'm the writer and Felicity's in it?
Oh, Slight Case of Murder.
A Slight Case of Murder.
But you kill people in that.
Well, nobody's perfect. I'm just saying. I don't know. It just had my voice. It was.
It's a really fun character.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! I got to talk to the camera. It's such a great gig, and plus he's taking pills all the time, so he's getting more and more loaded. But I talk to the camera. I'd do a scene and I'd go, "Was that weird? Was she acting weird? I think she was acting weird." It was so great.
You get to juggle two beautiful women.
Yes.
Yes. No, it's a great part.
Teach me, Daddy.
What's the hardest role you've had to play for any reason?
Certainly Dave's stuff is technically demanding, like Oleana or Speed the Plow. They're the verbal gymnastics, and the moments are delicate sometimes, and technically I think Dave, those two, sometimes a role can be tough because it's emotionally frightening to you. Just yucky stuff, places you don't want to go. I don't know. Interestingly, I don't know. I love to act. I love the challenge. Even something like Room. I was there for a day and a half, really, and so there was no wind up to do. I had this scene where I see my daughter. I see Bree after I hadn't seen her. I guess the plot was I hadn't seen. She'd been
7 years.
7 years, and I thought she was dead, and it was clear what was needed, you know, just to fall apart, the waterworks and everything. And I'm Lutheran. I don't like doing that stuff. But even that, I just thought, I like this challenge, trying to figure out on a strange set, I didn't know anybody, and how to maneuver my way so that I could be ready. You know, just how to be ready, how to prepare for it. In one of Gary Ross's movie, the television movie. Oh God, it's getting worse. The black and white movie.
Oh, Pleasantville.
Pleasantville. I had a gag where my character gets upset and a tear runs down my face and there's color under it. So I go to Gary, and he had a lot of money, so there were lots of takes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was glacial paced. And so I went to Gary and I said, I can do this moment, but I can't do it all day. So tell me when the shot comes. And I was worried about it because I really wanted, it was a beautiful movie and I really wanted to show up for that. And I didn't want any excuses anyway. I'm maneuvering myself. And we did the master of that scene, and I burst into tears. And, well, I'll cut to the chase. I wept all day.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I mean, Gary finally, you know, he said, Bill, it's a wide shot. I can barely see you. Can really, oh, you can't help it. I can't help it. I don't know. It's just.
You just mentioned 2 movies where you had to act opposite Joan Allen and cry. So maybe it's her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
Oh my God, she's amazing. Amazing. So obviously we have to talk about Shameless. You had dabbled in TV before with your TV movies, but also arcs on ER and Sports Night. Were you looking to do a series when this came along? Because you have a pretty busy film career.
Yes, but it had died. I wasn't getting any work or no work.
Is that true? I mean, Wild Hogs did really well at the box office. You continued to be seen on screen. Did the phone just stop ringing?
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of indies in that whole market. You know, when the market crashed, indies went away. I mean, they were cut in half, and production went down. And I knew a lot of people that. I mean, it shrunk fast. The whole business shrunk, and then the strike came in, and yeah. So I just was. I mean, I could find work, but nothing that was scintillating. And plus, my wife Felicity had loved Desperate Housewives. She loved the job. She loved everything about it. And she loved Sports Night. And I thought, okay, I want to try it. And I had never done a series. I'd been a guest star, but I was scared to find the right one, to put your life into the hands of these writers.
Yeah.
To say yes to all these scripts that haven't even been written yet. But it took about a year and a half. I got a couple of offers, but they weren't great. And then John Wells called. So I was actively looking for a TV show.
And what was it about the character of Frank Gallagher that appealed to you? Yeah.
Yeah, I read the thing, called John, said yes, like that. I mean,
really, just the pilot? What's your favorite thing about playing Frank?
He's so wrong. There's something that's great about his congenital lying, because an interesting thing happened. You know, in the first couple of seasons, Frank was drinking a whole lot, so, and I think I abused that a bit. A couple of times I would walk away thinking, I just did a great drunk, that was great. And then I would realize, uh-oh, I forgot to do the scene. It became a party trick. And then Frank's liver fell out, and so he stopped drinking, and I spent a whole freaking season dying. And then when he came back, he couldn't drink so much, so Frank's lies became so much more bloodthirsty and real. I mean, before, if Frank was talking, you knew he was lying. But the new sober Frank, I mean, I really sold it.
Yeah.
People thought it was psychotic the way he was so good at lying.
He actually got worse getting sober in some ways.
Yeah, got meaner, yeah.
We have a question from Bernadette York. Oh, over there, sorry. How do you let go of a character like Frank on Shameless at the end of the workday?
A couple of drinks.
Yeah, ironically.
Oh, it's a joy. I love doing television. First of all, it's a golden age of television. There's not enough time to see everything that's great. The best stuff being done anywhere is being done on television. And it's not just the writing, there's bold and bodacious directing, and the acting is getting better and better, and the stories on television, they're outrageous. So I love getting to revisit a character. I've told this story, but Felicity said as I went into my second year, what are you going to work on anything this year? And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you get to do 12 episodes, you're going to get to act a lot. You going to work in anything like technique-wise? And I thought, That's a great idea. And so you know what I did? I started simple, and you know how they say you got to really talk and really listen? Well, I did that. I really talked and really listened, and it's not easy to do, and because it just slips away. You have what you think are bigger fish to fry, like what's the fucking word, why I don't know these lines well enough, or it's complicated blocking, but you don't have a more important job than to really talk and really listen. It's makes a big difference. You know that pause I told you about? What I realized about really talking and really listening, the really talking is you got to learn the lines well enough that you can watch the other person and see what's really going on. And you got to have guts enough to react to what's really going on, irrespective of the script. And the really looking takes time. It's not a concept, it's something you do. When you really look, it's something you do. And it fills space, it takes time, it has weight. It's a thing you do. And it's a good thing to do. Especially because you see things. You see things that you don't notice if you're not really looking.
I mean, are there things you're still learning about acting today?
Yeah, and most of it's come from getting to do a TV show. It's, did you read The Outliers? You know, it's my 10,000 hours. I get to act. I mean, you do these big features, you sit in your trailer, you get to act 7 minutes out of 12 hours. I act all the time. We shoot 10 pages a day on Shameless.
You're kidding.
And that's de rigueur. It's not a big day. I mean, it happens regularly.
You also have this amazing cast. I mean, I'm such a fan of Emmy Rossum's, and your guys' relationship on the screen is so wonderful to watch. You're actually frequently in these amazing ensembles.
Yeah. Well, I am now. I've heard that our show is strangely serious, that the atmosphere is serious compared to other TV shows where there's a lot of horsing around and jokes and practical jokes and stuff like that. We don't do a lot of that. I mean, I feel like we laugh a lot. I certainly bust people a lot, but I've heard it's serious.
Really? I mean, you've been on other sets before. Does it feel that much different?
We go fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Another great thing that happened on Shameless is, and I actually did do this on the films that I do. That I directed. I direct the scene first, and then figure out how to take pictures of it. And because Shameless is so fast, we go in and we sit down. We say the lines. We had this. The guy that directed the pilot. His name's Mark Mylod. He did the British series too. He had a great way about him. He said, "Let me hear the words." And a couple of times he'd say, "Act them later. Can I just hear the words?" So you'd kind of just say the words, because that's a great, for some reason, step you have to get over. Saying that out loud in front of people for the first time. And so you get past that. And then sometimes he would say, "Do it again." And then he would block it. And then he would say, "What do you think?" And then we'd do it again. I'll cut to the chase here. We would do the whole scene sometimes 6 times, sometimes 8 times, if it was, and then we would do the whole scene. Then they invite in the camera crew.
Oh, cool.
And the camera, the way we shoot our show, it's more like a football game. You go deep, I'm going to go left.
Yeah.
And they'd say things like, "I'm bored with Macy. I'm going to shoot her. I'm going to go get Emmy." They shoot each other, you know.
Really?
They'll pan across right past the camera, and they just cut that part out. And as a result, we'll do a 6-page scene every time. We go through the whole freaking thing. And they do, the camera moves, and we just do the scene. And sometimes it'll be in one door, down the stairs, and into the kitchen. I mean, they're big scenes. So, first, second episode, third episode, Mark was directing, and I said, "When are you going to, my moment, when are you going to get my," and he said, Oh, dude, that was the second shot. You're done.
Wow.
You never know
Yeah.
when your close-up is coming, which is such a mitzvah.
Well, it's kind of sounds a little bit like theater, really.
Yeah.
You always have to be in the moment, and
Yeah.
yeah, and there aren't those, like, you know, they're not yelling cut every 5 seconds.
The worst thing we can do as actors is to try to do it better. Man, it'll kill you every time. Just do your job and then stop. Don't do it better.
We have a question from Victor. Wants to know what's been your best or worst experience on Shameless.
Well, I'll start with the worst. You know the polar vortex in Chicago?
Oh.
It's God's way of doing something. I don't know what it is, but at any rate, Antarctica comes to Chicago, and it happens in about. We were there twice, 2 years in a row. We hit the polar vortex, and so, you know, I had scenes where I'd be dressed like I am with that little jacket, and it was 9 degrees actual with a good stiff wind, and. I directed one of them. And so you see a scene, and it's 2 people sitting talking like this, and then you hear cut, and the actors go, "Ah!" And then all these Arctic explorers, you can only see this much of their face because they come in with a big blanket and throw it over us. We would just go like this, and they would throw a blanket over a tarp over all of us.
Wow.
I've got footage from Mike. It's really funny. Twice, at any rate, we got the last time I was on Oak Street Beach. It was the last shot of the season, actually. It was 11:30, midnight, something like that. It was 4 degrees. The wind off the water was at about 25 miles an hour. Boyana, who I was acting with, says, "Have you ever streaked, Frank?"
Yeah.
I say, "Not on purpose." And she said, "Let's do it." And we were supposed to whip off our clothes and run down the beach. First time in my career, I said, "I can't do it." I'd been there a whole week, freezing my no-nos off. And I saw my stand-in go. They did it. The 2 stand-ins did it twice.
Wow.
Twice running down the beach. He still hasn't found his dick. They're going to have to. He's going to need a surgeon. It went so far into his. Oh, the best. Oh, God. Joan Cusack. We did an improv one time. We don't improvise on Shameless. It's learn the lines and learn them dead on. But not Joan. She's a force of nature, and everybody just let her go. It was pretty bizarre, some of the places she goes to. At any rate, we just did this improv. Somebody had beaten the piss out of Frank, and I couldn't. I had a big shiner, and I'm lying through my teeth about, I think I'd fucked her daughter. I think that's what it was. At any rate, I'm lying, and and she's, and on an impulse, I said, you're the only one who treats me nicely. And it made me emotional, and she welled up in tears, and we're off to the races, and we did this little improv. It was a sublime moment. It was fun.
Have you guys started season 8 yet?
No, end of April, May.
I mean, this family has been through so much. I mean, do you have any idea what's in store for them?
No, John Wells says he has more stories. The writers keep coming up with it. They're growing up. It keeps morphing.
Yeah.
I thought this season was one of our best.
Yeah. It is actually that rare show that I feel keeps getting better.
Yeah.
And you think it can't.
I know.
And then another season comes. And
also, the numbers have grown 7 years in a row. When does that ever happen?
Yeah. We have a question from Jeff McBath. Back there. Wants to know, what was your favorite role and why?
It's like naming your favorite kid. You can't do that. But Fargo changed my life. Door to Door, the aforementioned Door to Door. Oh, I love that character. I love Bill.
Yeah.
State and Maine. I had the best lines in that. I loved making wild hogs with those guys. Oh my God, we had the best time. Tim Allen he needs help. He's really, and he and I'd get on those Harleys, and we were off to the races, man. God, that was fun. There was this scene where we go skinny dipping, and I'm standing up on a rock, and they're in the water, and I wore a sock, and I had a little sign made, and it said, "If you can read this, you're queer." And so there I stood.
Yeah.
I said, "You guys are, what's the matter with you?" And they're my age. They couldn't have seen that with a telescope. Yeah. They'd have to put their glasses on and get right up close to me. Oh well, it was a good joke. That's why I wear a sock a lot. At my age, I can't believe the number of times I'm buck naked on a set. And every time you got to write this consent form. But I mean,
really, they don't just have one on file for you?
I'm 66 years old, and I'm running around wearing a sock my whole career. I was going to give them as wrap gifts, but they're actually kind of expensive. But I thought I did with Stuart Gordon. We did what's his name? Edmund. Mm-hmm. So I killed a girl. I'm manacled. Yeah. I'm walking along. We had built the prison, but they clearly got real guys who had gone to prison, because I kept hearing things like, "That's not the way it is, man." No, that's the way it would be. And there were about 15 of them. And so, wearing a sock, I have to parade down them, and they're doing the catcalls and stuff like that. And we do it once, we do it twice. Stuart says, "Hold on one second." He comes around and he looks at me, he says, "Can we get a shorter sock? I can see it under there." Oh. I said, "Come on, you set me up. It's a tube sock." It's not fair. Then, when we finish the thing, I'm standing there shackled, and the properties guy, who was a certified idiot anyway, says, "That was real good, man. Give me the key, I'll let you out of this." I said, "That's funny." He said, "What?" I said, "You've got the key, I gave it to you." He said, "You didn't give me the key." "You got it." 10 minutes, I'm standing there with a sock on my dick looking while this guy looks for the keys.
Why would he think you had the key? Where would you put it?
I don't know, in my pocket? In my sock?
In your sock.
Fucking guy. Are there any properties people in here? Anybody do props? Can I get a witness? Are prop people just the craziest motherfuckers?
Because you mentioned Edmund, and actually I was just recently rewatching a movie you did that I love called Panic with Neve Campbell. And you have such a lengthy and impressive filmography, but sometimes these movies don't find the audience you'd like them to. Is there any particular movie you want to tell people, go check this one out?
Schachter and I did one feature together. It's called The Deal. It's about showbiz. That's pretty funny. We took it to Sundance, and they ran us out of town on a rail.
Really?
Yeah, it's a frothy comedy at Sundance. It just didn't. Plus, it's about showbiz, which is death. I thought it was really funny. Yeah, go see all the ones I wrote.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And can you tell us what's coming up next? I mean, I know you're getting ready to work on another season, so I'm sure
I'll do another season of Shameless, and perhaps two. I doubt that it would go beyond that, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to do some features again, but boy, I've loved TV. I don't know. I'm getting older, and as soon as my kids go off to college, boy, it's going to be a different thing.
I had always heard a rumor that you were the first choice for Finding Nemo.
Yeah, I did it. I got fired.
You got fired?
Got fired off of Finding Nemo.
Wow, and replaced by Albert Brooks?
Yep.
That is so you actually recorded all the dialogue?
For a year. And I'll tell you, I sucked.
Really?
Yeah, it just wasn't happening. I was boring. It wasn't good. I didn't suck hippo dick, but I mean, it just wasn't good enough. I didn't blame them at all.
Well, listening to the audio commentaries of all the Simpsons episodes, there was like 3 seasons in a row where they just kept talking about how if they ever made a live action movie, you had to be Ned Flanders.
Right.
Which really is a great compliment.
Yes.
Because you rock a stash.
Yes.
And not many people do. And they finally got you on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, playing yourself.
Yes. I didn't understand it. I said, I'm William H. Macy, I do independent films, and they beat the shit out of me. And everyone thought, it's so funny. And I went, why is that funny? But I got a Simpsons show jacket, which is worth its weight in gold.
That is, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's in some ways better than an Oscar nomination. And finally, can I just ask, now that you have 3 SAG Awards, which is the heaviest award out there, I think it's 13 pounds.
Yeah.
Where do you keep them?
We have a balcony, and I built a bookcase, and we keep all that stuff up there. I thought if I ever do Broadway, you know how people list in the credits the awards you've won? I thought I would say, William H. Macy has won over 41 pounds of awards.
Brilliant. Well, again, congratulations on the very deserved win. Thank you so much for being here.
It's so much more fun when you win.
Thank you guys for being a great audience.
Thank you. It's lovely.